I didn't know whether or not it was going to work, and I just didn't want to deal with that whole situation on being on YouTube. And, we had that issue as we did last time. So instead, we're just on Blog Talk right now. So I hope everybody's tuned in. We got a great show scheduled for today. We got super middleweight, also middleweight. He's campaigning in both weight classes. Clay Clower. Dude, I can't even pronounce his last name right now. Clay. I just went brain dead right now. Help me out here, Milcar. Collard. God.
Collard, right? Yeah, Collard.
Yeah. Yeah, see? Yeah, I just went brain dead there for a moment because I was looking at something else here. And we got Diego Magdaleno with us, and we got some topics. We're going to talk Ryan Garcia. We're going to talk Canelo and the potential opponents that are being presented or asking for the Canelo fight because there's still nobody on the date list for Canelo to step in on the Dazn OTT app there. As well as there's talks of Terrence Crawford against Jose Ramirez. That's a very exciting fight if Jose Ramirez kind of roll out the plan that he's hoping to accomplish, which is get in with Josh Taylor, unify that, leave the 140 division, jump up to the 147 division. Then we're going to talk UFC. Why are they doing better than boxing? And then hopefully we get into the boxing schedule. So stay with us, man. And if you want to call in, certainly can. 347-215-7598 here on A Leaving Ring. I'll be checking out the switchboard. And then we should be patching in Clay at 5:15 here on Leaving Ring. And then we'll have immediately after that, we'll have Diego Magdaleno with us as well. First topic I do want to bring up and talk about here is because we had last week, if you missed it, we had Roberto Diaz, the matchmaker of Golden Boy, come through and talk to us here on the show. Now, here's the thing. Because a lot of folks, we talked about this too, right, Amilcar, about
yes, we did.
The fans just kind of being like hypnotized with numbers. And that just seems to be the most popular thing to talk about is numbers, and what this guy's doing on social media, et cetera, et cetera.
How much money he's making.
Right. And I'm not saying anything against that. I think a lot of, people that tuned in and I guess I didn't make myself clear enough, Emil. So I'm going to make it perfectly clear, okay? Because I had some fans even coming on. I had this one guy that if I finally have to mute you, it's because we're now on a argument debate about who's got a bigger dick on the comment box. And I don't like playing that game, I'm just not one of those guys that's going to sit there all day going back and forth, and then you're starting to take the argument completely in a different direction. And one of the arguments is he's like saying, you got to give Ryan Garcia some slack. Canelo Alvarez was fighting, the Jason Velez of the world at the age of 20. That wasn't true. He wasn't. At the age of 20, okay, he had already fought Carlos Baldomir and knocked him out, which nobody had stopped Carlos Baldomir like that. He put him flat on his face, okay?
Yeah, tough dude.
And he had like 35 fights underneath his belt when he debuted it on HBO. And a lot of folks have said that he's got even more fights underneath his belt that wasn't recorded in Mexico. Okay, by the age of 21, he stepped in with contender and champion Alfonso Gomez. Then he went in with Kermit Cintron, who was considered a big puncher. Then he got in, and at the age of 22, he gets in with Shane Mosley, Austin Trout, and then Josecito Lopez. So here's my thing. There is no comparisons because Canelo waited his turn. He listened to his handlers. As Roberto Diaz and Ernesto Gabillon came on and had brought up and mentioned on here, which a lot of us, or, with common sense, we could see this, he's getting a lot of bad advice. It's not the advice that he should be taking right now. What he should be doing is allowing Roberto Diaz to match him carefully so that when he's ready and he's got all the tools and they've all sharpened and polished, he'll be ready to take that next step. But what's happening is a kid is going, hey, I want this so-and-so fight, and this so-and-so fight has to happen. Okay, now, if he wants it, I agree, Milcar. give it to him. But if you're
Yeah.
going to give him more money, my opinion is he needs to fight the bigger names. The Luke Campbells of the world, the Jorge Linares.
I don't agree with that 100%.
Right.
There have been plenty of people throughout the history of boxing who have actually, David, I'm hearing a huge echo on your line. Am I on a speakerphone?
Let me correct that. I think I know what the problem is. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just plug in the headphones. Perfect.
Go ahead.
All right, should be good now. So, yeah, what I was saying was boxing has been, it has a long history of kind of very popular young fighters who come up and don't necessarily fight the best opposition but get huge paydays because they're draws on TV and draws at the gate. So if what he's saying is I'm bringing in the viewers and I'm putting asses in seats and therefore I should be paid a lot, I can agree with that. But if he's not doing that and then he's also fighting lower level competition and asking to be paid, then that's kind of where I have a problem with it.
See, and here's the thing with what I see with the kid. I don't have a problem with the kid. If whatever he wants, I just want to see him. Look, if he's asking for $1 million or more, because remember this, in 2019, he ended up signing on with Golden Boy in the most lucrative deal for a prospect, right?
Yeah.
Highest paid, whatever. That's what he got. Okay. And this third time around, he's now complaining like, look, they don't want to pay me more money to fight so-and-so. Now, I agree with them, then I disagree with them. I agree with them, like, look, if you're going to fight another Jason Les, you shouldn't get these high pays. But if you're going to fight Luke Campbell, I think he should get the big money. Well, I think that, again, and here's the thing. I'm not blaming Ryan Garcia, and that's why I want to clarify. I'm not blaming the kid if he wants to get paid. He's got to get paid. Who, if I had a point blame to, I would have to blame Dazn. Dazn decided to bring on 2 YouTubers onto the network. Jake Paul, who at the time of 2018, recorded by Forbes, was making $21.5 million off of YouTube. Okay, Logan and that guy KC, they made $900,000 on their purse when they fought at the Staples that brought 12,000 people to come and witness it in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It streamed. It streamed on the Dazn YouTube 773,000, and then it did on Twitch 400,000 for the Jake Paul and Gibb. Now, I think what the problem is that Dazn, like before, to me has kind of always, they made the mistake of opening up their wallet and exposing how much they have in the bank before they really had rolled out a plan. What they figured is, I'm going to entice, I'm going to flirt with these fighters that are money hungry, and I'm going to bring them my way, and it's going to be interesting, and this is what I'm going to do. So if Canelo and his team saw this, and they were like, hey, wait a minute, this guy Jake Paul has 19 million YouTube followers, and I got, let me see, I wrote it down here. I mean, he's got 6.7 on Instagram, and he also has draw big numbers to the gate. He's in his right to say, I want these fights because you got 2 nobodies. You're paying them $900,000, Hernes. You're paying them $900,000. Don't agree to it.
The other aspect to it too, David, is that if someone, whether it's Jake Paul or Ryan Garcia, has a huge social media following, that's also free publicity for DAZN if they're not getting paid. Because every time they post to Instagram or to Twitter or wherever they have an online presence talking about their fight, that's going to drive subscribers for DAZN. So again, if I'm from Ryan Garcia's standpoint, I'm like, bitch, that's not free. You got paid.
Right, but we don't. But see, here's the thing: is DAZN has not even reported, or I haven't seen it, saying that it did have these new subscribers that signed up and stayed with them. There's really no clear message if that's really came to fruition that this happened. So we really don't know that. So I understand when I hear like promoters or even certain managers say there's no way of really making that transition. There's no way of really saying that, hey, his followers are going to jump over and do this,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you opened that door. Am I wrong about that? I mean, you opened that door by inviting two YouTubers based on what their subscribers and their followers thinking that this is what's going to invite and this is what we're going to get. Then it's in every right for Ryan Garcia to say, hey, I should get the same treatment. I should be able to.
Especially if he's a real fighter.
Exactly. And he's a real fighter. This guy's really putting in the work, where these the Jake Pauls and whatever the other Logan Paul, what they're saying is like, hey, we're jumping YouTube shit because there's a cap at what we're doing, and there isn't a cap in boxing. And we believe that we train hard and we got Shane Mosley on our corner that we can actually make a bigger noise and get bigger money. Well, then it's like they're stepping on the toes of kids like Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, who actually have put in all the work, went into the traditional way of building, getting themselves out there. And Ryan Garcia did the other thing that's not traditional, which is get himself out there on social media, and has done a phenomenal job. So if that's what I'm with him, if he says you paid these guys, and nobody seemed to have a problem with it, giving these guys a platform and giving them $900,000 because of their potential followers signing up with the Zone, you shouldn't have a problem with me then. That would be my argument if I was representing him. But my argument as a boxing fan is that's cool, but I'd like to see you step in with the Luke Campbells of the world. I'm kind of like, are we going to get there or we're not? And if we're not, then I don't want to hear about money. That's where I'm at.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, from a boxing standpoint, Dave, your biggest interest is I want to see the biggest and most meaningful fights.
Right.
And I can totally see that. Whereas this generation's, I shouldn't say this generation's, but the new generation of boxing fan isn't just taking into consideration skill set and the kind of things that maybe the older generations would have. They're also looking at social media numbers, purses, and are now, looking at things from a kind of a manager, or as Steve Kim, I think, coined the term, fanager perspective.
Yeah, which is like I said, that's just
you're not getting the money, you're not getting the social media followers, so why do you care? But unfortunately, there are people. It's like the movie fan that cares how much the Avengers made at the box office, if not more, at least as much as they care how much quality is actually in the movie. They just wanted to be the biggest movie of the year because guess what? They like the Avengers as opposed to actually going out and enjoying the movie for what it is in its own right.
It is really, really strange with the obsession of pay-per-view numbers, how much this fighter's making, whatnot and whatnot. I mean, that obsession is just, it's honestly, it's kind of turned me off. And that's why, I will mute you or whatever, block you. If that's all you want to talk about and that's your argument, and especially if you start bringing up Canelo at the age of 20 and what he's done, and that, look at he fought an ex-world champion, and we were hearing about money. What we were hearing is the potential. That's what we were hearing the most, was the potential he has. And this is what we're going to do with him. Now, granted, I was one of them that complained that I wanted to see him a little bit more after he got a title, which that's not the complaint with Ryan Garcia. He hasn't received the title, but he's acting as if he should get paid as if he has a title or he's like an Olympian. But again, it's a double-edged sword because Dazn, for one, opened up that wallet, and for two, invited two YouTubers based on a subscription base. And I think that's where they screwed up. Okay, let me